We are live. Welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. I wanted to talk about this, but I want to start with a question, and I've got a poll in the room right now. Please, if you want to partake, please do. The question is law enforcement an honorable profession? Is law enforcement an honorable profession? We are live. Welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. I wanted to talk about this, but sorry about that, guys. Making sure the system audio is going okay. The reason I wanted to ask you that question is because Brandon Tatum, this is an ex-officer. I think it's from Arizona Police Department. Former officer Brandon Tatum is one of the most popular officers in the country, in the world. I don't know. He's got like 2 million followers, 2.2 million followers. Very popular. A lot of people like what he says. And he's, of course, a bootlicker, which never does any good for society, ever. And the reason I asked the question, is law enforcement an honorable profession, is because of this statement right here from the officer Brandon Tatum.
I believe in policing is in my opinion, one of the most honorable things that you can do is patrol and serve your community.
One of the most honorable things that you can do is patrol and serve your community. Does anybody believe that? That's why there's the question in the poll right now, in a poll question. Is law enforcement an honorable profession? And then we're going to talk about the 5 Memphis cops who got fired like that. And there are charges of murder and kidnapping against them. Before tonight, the Tyre Nichols body cam footage is supposed to be released. I think they said it was 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if we should go live on that because there's no telling what we're going to see on that. But according to reports, Benjamin Crump, the Memphis Police Department, and some of the bigwigs that have already seen the video, and the family, of course, say it's one of the worst things, one of the most disgusting things, one of the most disturbing things you've ever seen. So listen to Brandon Tatum again saying that one of the most honorable professions is law enforcement and being on patrol for your community.
I believe in policing is in my opinion, one of the most honorable things that you can do is patrol and serve your community, putting your life on the line for perfect strangers. That's the closest.
Is that what they do when they're pulling you over? Are they putting their life on the line for perfect strangers? Are they there to serve and protect you, or to serve and protect the you-know-what out of you? Because that's often what we've seen. And this Tyre Nichols thing, traffic stop. How many times do we have to hear that a traffic stop ended in some brutal slaying of some individual? I don't know what Tyre Nichols did. They said that he was swerving, but even the police chief says there's no evidence for that. Do we trust the police chief? No. Do we trust mainstream media? No. We're going to listen to what police chief and mainstream media said, because this is kind of I would just say this is a unique case. This isn't it's unique in many ways. We'll talk about it.
To sacrifices like Christ did in any profession.
He's saying the sacrifice of people who take up the profession of law enforcement is tantamount to the sacrifice of Christ, putting your life on the line, jeopardizing your very safety and security for those of your community. I mean, if that was true, if that's really what they were doing, that would definitely be commendable. That would definitely be honorable. But time after time, that's not what we're seeing.
Military is probably one of the only other ones.
Military. And who did the military men work for? Guys, he's literally saying, here's why I object to this. Because anytime you join a group to become an order follower, you're not doing the community any good. As a matter of fact, I've often said many times on this channel, on my other channels, the conduit through which most, if not all evil, I mean, a large percentage of the evil that enters this world enters through the tube of obedience and order following and just doing my job. I'm just doing what I was told. I didn't create the laws. I just enforce them. He's literally saying the order following profession is one of the most honorable professions in the world. When you sign up to become a military man, you're signing your life away. Your entire body, you become the property of the military industrial complex. The military industrial complex not only hates Americans, but it hates all the other foreign nations that we go out to do battle with. What do we got? Like 820 military bases that we're supporting throughout the entire world? What if China had military bases here? How would you feel about that? Would you feel like that what the Chinese troops were doing as they institute curfews and all this kind of stuff on us was honorable? What if Russia and China got together and they had 50 military bases, one or 100 military bases, 2 for each of the states in the United States? How would you feel about that? Chinese and Russian outposts on American soil.
That you can make a tremendous sacrifice directly for the life of another person, literally dying in a line of duty for people who probably don't deserve it.
Actually, a lot of them are dying in the line of duty because they, in the opinion of some, did deserve it. And a lot of people who die at the barrel of a government gun instituted by the policy enforcers, which we call police, were perfectly innocent, had done nothing wrong. The cops break down the door to the wrong house. They pull a guy over for some nonsense reason. And because they didn't immediately jump to and comply, the officer went off. This guy, even in this video right here, he uses Philando Castile as an example. Philando Castile was just trying to obey orders and get out his ID after having told the officer, hey, I want to let you know that I'm carrying. He has a concealed carry permit. It doesn't matter. Boom, 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 boom. You're done. You're gone. Traffic stop again.
This is a very honorable profession. And I hold it dear and close to my heart to keep it honorable. And those who damage the badge, disrespect the badge, I'm going to call you on the carpet. You knew that when you signed up and put that badge on. And I'm not saying this as a pundit. I'm saying.
You mean the gang? You mean the gang badge? When you put the gang badge on, there's a possible way for you to honor that badge. How can you honor the dishonorable? It's outright dishonorable. So what we're going to take a look at is, here's these 5 Memphis officers. And the reason I say this is unique is because there's no white element where you can blame racism. And I'm kind of glad, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. There's nobody can call racism on this. All 5 of the officers were non-white. The guy that they beat up to death was non-white. The police chief, here's the police chief right here. Let me show you the police chief. The police chief obviously is not white. So white is not a factor. Thank goodness racism isn't a factor in this. And, hopefully it can't be a factor in this, but I'm just kind of bracing myself because I think somehow they're going to pull race out of this. Maybe they're going to say something like, because here's not that this is unprecedented. It's probably close. The reason I say it's unique is because you got 5 black officers on a black guy, and they beat him to death. The incident happened on January 7th. The guy died 3 days later. This is a pretty fast progression that we don't usually see. So this incident happened on the 7th. The guy died on the 10th. The police updated on the 15th and then launched a federal investigation on the 18th. By the 20th, what is that? 13 days later? 13 days later, these cops are fired and charged. What are they charged with? It says right here, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith were terminated for failing in their excessive force, use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid. And the charges were, one of them was, well, actually, they're all charged with second-degree murder. Let me see. I thought I had it highlighted here, but I want to give the exact charges. So it says, after this internal investigation, Memphis police identified the fired 5 officers involved in the traffic stop due to their violation of multiple department policies. The egregious nature of this incident is not a reflection of the good work our officers perform with integrity every day, this Davis person says. I wanted to show you the charges. One of them was, I should have wrote it down. Aggravated kidnapping and second-degree murder were 2 of the charges. We'll take a look at that later. They said he was driving recklessly, even though the police chief says, well, I don't see any indication in our body cams, dash cams, or street pole cameras that this is the case. So we're going to listen to some of this. Another unique thing is that the police chief actually comes out and is literally condemning her officers. A lot of people that are bootlickers say she's throwing them under the bus. Well, maybe what she saw warrants her making this statement, although it's kind of rare to see somebody make a statement this prematurely. Hey, Wolverine Transparency, thank you for that super chat. If you guys want to support this channel and you want to sidestep the 30% fee that they take out right off the top, do Cash App or Subscribestar or Buy Me a Coffee. If you do the Buy Me a Coffee or Cash App, I'll shout you out right now, during the course of this. And I'll have my phone open so that I can do that, but I'll do all that stuff later. So if you want to sidestep that thing, I really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Not required, but definitely appreciated. Let's go ahead and get into some of this. What I hate about fake stream, CIA infiltrated, Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra Media is you got the liars from the corporate media talking to a liar police chief from a liar police station in Memphis. I don't buy any of this stuff, but we're going to take a look at it because later, maybe today or tomorrow, we're going to go over some of that body cam footage. Although, there's only so much I can put on my channel because, they demonetize it, they age restrict it, or they just outright will give you a strike for, you're glorifying violence. So maybe what I'll do is we'll talk about it and then I'll leave a link so you guys can take a look at it. But again, that body cam footage doesn't come out until this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's take a look at some of this.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So the officers were charged yesterday. Why is the video being released tonight? Are you worried that it's coming out on a Friday night?
Well, there was much discussion about when an appropriate time for the video to be released, George, and not just the Memphis Police Department, but with city administration and other agencies in the area. We felt that Friday would be better. We're taking into consideration the reaction of the community that could potentially take place, and ensuring that our schools, are out. Most business folks would be on the way home on tomorrow.
Did you give any?
There's another element to this. It's not just fake stream media. It's not just the Memphis Police Department, but now we have the other side of it. And if you try to give some kind of measured response to what you think is going on and give some kind of commentary to lend some kind of balance, you end up being put in categories that are probably unfair to put a person in. And what I mean by that is, hey, don't forget, guys, I got a poll up. The question is law enforcement an honorable profession? So far, we've got 253 votes. Yes, it's an honorable profession is 7%. I would like to know your argument about why you think it's an honorable profession. 83% no, and 10% say I'm unsure. So make sure you weigh in on that if you want to. There's 400 people in here right now, 126 likes. Don't forget to hit that like button. What I mean by this is on the other side of it, they'll say, oh, if you're against the cops, then you're a BLM or you're a leftist libtard. What's wrong with you? Nothing could be further from the truth. What is justice? What's just here? What did Tyre Nichols do wrong? Maybe he did do something wrong. Maybe he threatened somebody's life. Maybe he needed to be, taken down and taken out. I don't mean taken out like of this world, but maybe so. Sometimes people do something that demands extreme force. So I want to try to keep this balance. And on the other side of it, if you say, "Oh, you're for Tyre Nichols," then if you're for or against Tyre Nichols, then you're for the police department, you bootlicker. It's like, I just want to know what's just. On the initial stop, was the guy really swerving and damaging property and putting people in jeopardy? That would be a legitimate reason for anybody. You don't have to have a police officer with a badge, uniform, and a gun to stop somebody. You could legitimately try to pull somebody over as a concerned member of the community because this guy almost sideswiped and hit a granny walking across the road or something. And they continue to swerve and put people in jeopardy. So I want to try to keep this as balanced as possible. And I don't want to be so, against the profession of law enforcement that I compromise my ability to see things through the lenses of justice and what's right.
Consideration at all to
or this evening, I'm sorry.
Right. Did you give any consideration at all to not releasing the video, given the concerns?
No, not at all. You know, as we continue to talk about transparency, and even though this is a very, very difficult video to watch, it was never a thought that we would not release this video.
I think that's a lie. Cops are not interested in transparency. There was never a thought that we would never release the video. I'm sure that's what they said at the Glendale Police Department after they brutalized Johnny Wheatcroft in front of his family. Remember how long it took to get that body cam footage? And that was gross injustice right there of a guy who literally did nothing wrong. Tasing him in front of his family and terrorizing his kids. It's nonsense. I bet the Glendale Police Department were like, well, oh yeah, in the interest of transparency, we'll go ahead and release it 2 years later.
We wanted to make sure that it wasn't released too prematurely because we wanted to ensure that the DA's office, the TBI, and also the FBI had an opportunity to cross some of the hurdles that they had to in their investigation. And we're sort of at a point now that the DA has made his statements in reference to charges of these officers that this is a safe time for us to release the video.
You say it's difficult to watch. What was your reaction?
They were forced to release it. There was a public outcry. They got a lot of phone calls. There's been a lot of press coverage for it. The reason they released it is because they felt like they had to. It was good PR for them. Don't think any. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
And when you first saw the video,
there's something else. We're gonna take a look at this from Good Morning America. And we're going to take a look at this from the Counterfeit News Network with Donna Lamone. But not once did anybody ask about the criminal history, because I don't know if he has a criminal history or not, but nobody asked about the criminal history of Tyre Nichols.
In my 36 years, George, I would have to say I don't think I've ever been more horrified and disgusted, sad.
Really? Daniel Shaver incident didn't horrify you? The Johnny Wheatcroft incident didn't horrify you? The James Boyd, remember the homeless guy in, I think it was Mesa, Arizona, who was beanbagged first, and then they had the dog sicked on him, and then they basically summarily executed this homeless guy minding his own business, trying to live out in the desert. Kelly Thomas, what happened in California, that didn't horrify you? Come on. There's so many examples of people being just horribly brutalized and tormented and tortured by law enforcement during traffic stops.
But just, and to some degree confused.
Confused?
Yes.
Why?
When I say confused, just in the level of aggression and response to what had occurred in this traffic stop, and it's still very unclear, as to the real reason for the stop in the first place.
I guess part of your confusion must be rooted in the fact that your department did enact new policies in the wake of George Floyd's murders. What went wrong here?
Well, I think that there were...
Well, what went wrong, George, here? Let's just go ahead and start with the elephant in the room. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And what we continue to fail to realize and broadcast to a listening public is that power has a corrupting influence on people who wear the badge, and they literally have qualified immunity, which gives them a mental deficiency right off the bat, George. I mean, when they pull somebody over, they really believe that they are God. And they literally believe that laws don't apply to them, but they do apply. These petty little laws apply to the people they're about to economically terrorize. And then when people get their backs against the wall and they feel like they got to, stand up for justice, or, our law enforcement officers can't have that, as you know, George, because it's that corrupting worm is working itself to the brains and the hearts of our law enforcement officers. That if you were going to tell the truth, that's what you would be saying. But they have to continue this facade because policing for profit brings in a ton of simoleons, man. The name of this unit that these badged authoritarians were a part of, it was called the Scorpion Unit. These guys were a part of a unit in Memphis, Tennessee Police Department called the Scorpion Unit.
There were several gaps that took place, and I'm just going to be honest.
SWAT says in the room she was confused because her 5 cops got caught. That's good.
Anytime we have officers that are working in various types of units, and our police department, along with departments around the country, have specialized units, it's just important to make sure that there are supervisors that are where they're supposed to be during these types of operations, and individuals that are the right people that are in place that will act appropriately.
Yeah, Wolverine Transparency says most police officers are narcissistic oppressors, and we see that. That's not something you have to guess at. That's not some kind of subjective judgment. It's something that you can objectively take a look at time and time again. Thank goodness for YouTube. Thank goodness for the internet, because all this is exposed. Before the internet, all this stuff was under wraps, man. The news wasn't reporting on it. Sometimes they would, because they wanted to get a story so they can, make a buck. But until the advent of the internet, and especially YouTube and all these social media uploading sites, we didn't really know the Mount Everest-sized pile of injustice that was stacked against the communities by the very people who are supposed to protect and serve.
When these types of incidents occur, I believe there was a sense of groupthink in the mentality of what was happening. And it's just very unfortunate that nobody stepped forward to say enough.
Did you hear what she said? It's unfortunate that nobody stepped forward to say enough. What is she saying? She's saying not one good cop was on the scene to stop the madness and the brutality and the mayhem and the disturbing footage that you're about to see when we release this body cam footage tonight at 7 p.m. Thanks, Born Annoying. Gifted, here's the deal. Gifted one, here's the deal membership. Cool. Born Annoying just gifted somebody in the room a membership to the channel. I really appreciate it. Somebody just said something that was interesting, and I lost it. So I'll have to take a look at it again. Don't forget to brutalize that like button, guys. Brutalize the like button. So what she just admitted was not one good officer was on the scene. Not one person had a conscience. Not one person had a heart to say, hey, we probably shouldn't be doing that. And not even one person had the wherewithal to go, hey, we should back off because we're on the clock, we're on camera, we're basically recording something for the world to see, so we better cross our T's and dot our I's. But because of the psychopathy that goes along with being part of the law enforcement profession, they couldn't stop. They could not help themselves. They couldn't hold back the tides of their evil deeds. They had to let it come out. At least that's what I'm guessing before we watch the police body cam footage.
Say enough.
You think it's possible that the initial
I wonder how much of that footage they're going to redact.
stopping of the car was improper?
Okay, so he asked, do you think the stopping of the car was improper? Listen to what she says here. And how rare do you think this is right here about what she's about to say? She's going to tell you she found no evidence that there was any reason to even make the traffic stop.
As far as I know today, I do believe that the stop itself was very questionable. We have been unable.
Is there something wrong with my mic? What's up?
As far as I know today, I do believe that the stop itself was very questionable. We have been unable.
Is there something wrong with my? Hold on one second, guys. Let me unplug my mic and plug it back in. I appreciate it. I need to be monitoring the. Thanks for letting me know about the echo. Plug it back in. Hold on one second. Let me see if it's. Is it better now? Come on, microphone. Come on, microphone. I appreciate it. I need to be monitored. Yeah, that's better. All right.
To verify the reckless driving allegation. There have been many searches of video footage, along the corridors of the streets that this stop supposedly occurred, or that the witnessing of reckless driving occurred. And we haven't been able to substantiate in any type of video that there was a reckless driving type of action that prompted this stop.
Did any of the
That says it all. This is not rare. This is not rare. This is just coming to light. The police chief for the Memphis Police Department, let this sink in, says, we haven't been able to substantiate the reason, a probable cause for the stop. There looks to me like there was no reason for the stop at all, but they stopped him anyway. And if it's true that there was no reason for the stop, then just like that video that we went over last night on the live stream with that Keaton guy, the reason this Keaton guy now has a felony charge and had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars and probably will have to continue to pay thousands of dollars in legal costs is because the cops simply would not let him go. The cops simply would not let him freely on American soil ride his bike down the street without a headlight. And then a cop got a shoulder separated in the process. That wasn't Keaton's fault. It was the cop's fault. So the guy who's doing the attacker hurt himself while he was attacking, the badged attacker. So what she's saying is there's no evidence that there's no reason for the stop. The guy ends up dead. Oops. Oopsie.
The police officers involved have prior criminal records.
Good question. What a good question coming out of CIA infiltrated Mockingbird Media, man.
No.
What she should say is criminal records. We don't hire anybody at the police department with criminal records. It should have been like that. She's like, let's see. Oh my gosh. That is a possibility. We do hire, thugs and lower IQ individuals. So, gosh, no, there was no criminal record from any of the cops that we hired. No, sir.
You're certain of that?
As far as I know, they did not. These officers were hired from 3 to 6 years is what their tenure was. But I'm not certain that there were any criminal charges on them. But
I'm not certain. If you're going to hire somebody to protect and serve other people, it's probably a good idea to make sure that they're not criminals. You would be 100. What are you talking about, George? We don't hire people who are criminals. That's what she should be saying. But this is apparently a situation that could be on the table, the way she's answering.
I don't want to say for sure, but as far as I know, they didn't.
How's your department going to rebuild trust with the community in the wake of this?
This is going to be very difficult.
Wolverine Transparency says, smash that like button like the head of a tyrant.
For the police department, I've always been a supporter of police reform and the tenets of 21st century policing. And
police reform to me is so laughable because it's like polishing a turd. Why would you even try it? Why would you even waste the energy, the effort, the resources to polish a turd? Police reform? Seriously? That's like Al Capone reform or Mexican cartel reform.
As we continue to try to build trust with our community, this is a very, very heavy cross to bear, not just for our department, but for departments around the country. Building trust is a day-by-day interaction between every traffic stop, every encounter with the community.
We're building trust with the community when we engage in our roadside piracy traffic stops, policing for profit programs. That's how we build trust. Now we got this from the Counterfeit News Network and Donna Lamone. She has been running the circuit because every network, ABC, NBC, CBS, I haven't seen her on Fox News yet, CNN, MSLSD. She's been running the circuit. She's been a busy little cookie. She's been a busy bee. Listen to what she says here on CNN.
I'm joined live now by the Memphis Police Chief, C.J. Davis. Thank you, Chief, for joining us. I really appreciate it. I'm going to wear my glasses so that because I have very specific things I want to ask you about. The charges. These 5 officers have now been charged with second-degree murder in the death of Tyre Nichols. What's your reaction?
All 5 have been charged with second-degrry murder, and all 5 have been charged with aggravated kidnapping. And this is what these officers, if what I'm thinking is right, and what I'm assuming we're going to actually see in the body cam footage, it's nothing new. It's something cops do all the time, every day, nonstop.
To these very serious charges.
Well, I expected serious charges. I really did. Actually, the charges that were placed, or at least the administrative charges, were probably the most severe that I've seen in my career, but they were absolutely appropriate. And I knew that the next step would be in the hands of the DA's office, so I am not surprised.
Has anybody ever seen anything so swift? The incident happens on the 7th. The guy dies on the 10th. There's an update on the 15th, federal investigation on the 18th. By January 20th, 13 days afterwards, they're fired and they're charged. They're named, they're fired, and they're charged. Has anybody ever seen this happen this fast to a cop? I've not seen it happen this swiftly. Usually they get put on paid administrative leave. There's no firing or anything. So the cop is still, even Amber Geiger got put on an administrative leave for blowing away Botham Jean in his own living room, sitting on his own couch, eating his own ice cream, watching a movie. Matthew Schneider was put on paid administrative leave. As horrible as the thing that happened with Johnny Wheatcroft. But the reason there wasn't a national outcry with the Johnny Wheatcroft thing is, number one, he was the wrong color. And number two, the body cam wasn't released until 2 years later, after Johnny Wheatcroft had already expended a lot of money on legal fees and spent 60 days in jail.
These were pretty extraordinary measures, I must say, in all the times that I've been covering these types of incidents. To fire the officers and to charge them so strictly, does that speak to what we're going to see on that videotape when it is released after 7 p.m. Eastern?
Absolutely. I think that, it also speaks to the fact that, over the last several years, we have all talked about police legitimacy, and police reform. And I think it's really important.
Police legitimacy is like an oxymoron. It's like airline food, tight slacks, jumbo shrimp. There's no such thing as police legitimacy is policy enforcer legitimacy. It's immoral legitimacy, because that's what police officers are. They're agents of immorality. They're agents for policy. They're order following agents who say, I didn't write the laws. I'm just enforcing them. I may not even agree with them, but I'm still going to enforce them because that's what my policy says to do. So you go down, you take a ride, you get kidnapped, you get caged, you get tormented, you get body cavity searched because they just got to enforce the policy. I don't see how it's possible to have law enforcement and legitimacy be correctly placed in the same sentence without it being oxymoron. It's oxymoronic.
That in instances like this, when they are serious, when they do rise to that level where a person's constitutional rights have been violated, their civil rights have been violated.
That happens at every traffic stop. What's the very first thing they tell you to do on a traffic stop? I don't care if it's for a tag light out. I don't care if it's for, you didn't turn your blinker on or whatever. What's the first thing they do? I need your identification, your registration, and your insurance. What's giving your ID? It's making you insecure in your persons. They literally violate your Fourth Amendment rights so that they can enforce the policy, the traffic code policy, when you didn't harm anybody, threaten to harm anybody, or damage anybody's property. That law enforcement is all about violating your rights. That's all they ever do. Am I saying that law enforcement officers don't do good things? No, you can see video after video of them, getting cats out of trees. Or in this one case, it showed this cop saving this baby who was choking to death. They get pets out of cars, or, a baby in the backseat of a car when the mom is, brain dead and leaves her baby in there. I'm not saying that they don't do good things at times, but the law enforcement profession is anything but honorable, in my opinion. That's why I put the poll up. There's 577 votes on this now. So far, we've got the answer to the question in the room. And if you haven't weighed in yet, please do so if you want. Is law enforcement an honorable profession? 9% say yes, 82% say no, and 9% say I'm sure. I really would want to ask anybody in the room who said yes, please support your answer with examples of how you think that overall the law enforcement profession is honorable. Let's get back to this.
That we act, and we act swiftly.
Mm-hmm. When did you first learn about this incident, Chief?
It was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning. That the previous day, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock, this incident occurred. About 4 o'clock in the morning, I learned of the incident, and it was just a strange summary of what occurred on a traffic stop. And I decided to go in the office and meet with the individuals that had information that I could take a look at it, even though at that time Tyre was in the hospital. But still, because he had injuries that I just didn't understand. It was incomprehensible to me. We came in the office and decided to take a look that Sunday morning, and it was alarming.
That's Sunday morning is when you first saw the video?
That's
Do
absolutely.
you realize that if it's true that they have not one shred of evidence to substantiate a just cause for the pullover, for the them pulling him over in traffic, that they literally killed this guy for nothing, for no reason? The guy would have been perfectly justified. And I am not suggesting that anybody do this, because you are literally putting your life in your own hands. Your life is hanging in the balance when a law enforcement officer approaches your vehicle. He's got a gun. You probably don't. Well, I'm sure most of you in this room probably do. But if anybody other than that law enforcement officer tried to harass you and tried to make you do things you didn't want to do, you could rightly defend yourself. And in that case, even if they were wearing a costume, you could rightly defend yourself. But you know what that means. You know what road you just went down when you defend yourself against a cop. You know what all of his fellow thin blue line fraternal order of police brothers and sisters are going to do. They're going to pull out all the stops to hunt you down and bring you to justice. That's what's so unfair, what's so unjust, and what's so immoral about this system and law enforcement as a whole.
Right.
And then when you saw it, what was your reaction?
I was outraged. It was incomprehensible to me. It was.
But she's not outraged when her officers, I don't know how long she's been on the job, okay? But she's not outraged when her fellow officers are doing the same thing that these officers did. They just got caught. They just took it a little bit too far. What about all the cops that didn't really take it that far, but they still extracted the hard-earned product of somebody's time and laboring energies from them during a $230 you ran a stop sign, or you were going a little faster than you should have, or you didn't have your seatbelt on? She's perfectly fine with that. What she's not fine with is they took it just a little bit too far, and now everybody found out about it, in my opinion.
Unconscionable, and I felt that I needed to do something, and do something quickly. I don't think I've witnessed anything of that nature in my entire career.
Really?
That's such BS. There's so many. You're kidding. You don't have access to YouTube, lady. You don't have access to the internet. Your internet connection's broke. You don't have a cell phone where you can pull up this stuff. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands of incidences where there's just as bad or worse things that cops are doing to the public.
Really.
That bad?
It was that bad.
What are we going to see then?
You're going to see.
Holy cow. Brooklyn Audit just sent a $20 cash app. Brooklyn Audit, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Wow. And Wendy, thanks for that. Buy me a coffee. I appreciate that.
Acts that defy humanity.
What?
You're going to see a disregard for life.
You're going to see acts that defy humanity and disregard human life? Where you been, sister? That's what the uniformed flash mob does when they arrive on the scene. That's what the Blue Line Gang specializes at.
Duty of care that we're all sworn to, and a level of physical interaction that is above and beyond what is required.
Hey, Reluctant Prophet, have you seen the video already? Reluctant Prophet says, here's the deal. It's bad. I'm sure it's bad. I'm just assuming it's bad, but I haven't seen it. I don't think anybody's seen it. It's supposed to be released. Let's see. What time is it on the East Coast right now? 3:11? So say around 3 o'clock. It's not supposed to be released until 7, which is 4 hours from now. So has somebody seen it?
Required in law enforcement, and I'm sure that, as I said before, that individuals watching will feel what the family felt. And if you don't, then you're not a human being. And we all.
And that's how I feel anytime I see a cop abuse anybody on any level. See, they think this is, and it is big beans when life is taken. That's the biggest beans that you can get. But how about all the people who are in prison right now because the law enforcement agent said, oh, you want me to follow the drug laws and enforce the drug laws? Okay, I'll do it. And then hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, it's millions, tens of millions of people have been incarcerated, have been fined, have been caged since 1971 because Nixon said we gotta have a war on drugs, which is really a war on people. And then all the order followers in these uniforms right here go, okay, we'll just do what we're told, regardless of what is right. And then all these people, unconscionable things, inhumane things start happening to people. How many people have rotted in cage for 20, 30 years just because they had dried plant matter in their vehicle? It's outrageous. That's the way you should act anytime you see an act of injustice. And it doesn't have to, it's on any level you should be enraged. It's not like this should, this right here in my 39 years on the force, this really, look at the irony of that. In my 39 years on the force, as I force people to do things against their will, this right here really takes the cake.
Human beings. And I think there will be a measure of sadness as well.
How long do these incidents go on? We heard from the district attorney yesterday and from the head of the TBI that there were 2 separate incidents, right?
Yes.
How long do they go on? And what was the worst part of it? Because it has been said that the officers became charged.
Yes.
During the second incident, that they got more riled up.
Well, from the very beginning, to me, they were riled up. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were as amped up as they were on the second, at the second scene, but just the stop, the nature of the stop, very aggressive, loud, communication, and it just rose from there. It escalated from there. Mr. Nichols was able to get away from these officers, and they found him again at another location. And at that point, there was an.
In other words, he was like, "Man, these 5 big guys are surrounding me. I am literally freaking out." And he's like, "I'm out of here." And they were on him, and they got him. Crisis Cast, thanks for that $20 super chat. I appreciate you covering this, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate the support.
An amount of aggression that is unexplainable, in any instance where you're apprehending someone. Even in the worst situations when there is resistance, officers still have the responsibility to exercise care and regard for any individual that's in custody or they're attempting to apprehend. And they're trained to do that.
And to de-escalate.
Yeah, you need to de-escalate, and you need to operate care as you put those torture cuffs and start bruising people's wrists and then throw them in the back of the car and then threaten them with a couple of choice words and then take them to the local jail where they can be searched internally. We have to do that all with the greatest amount of care and make sure that their dignity is preserved. It's like listening to a psych. It's almost like listening to the Joker from Batman. I offer a great deal of care when I put you in cuffs and I transport you down while I'm kidnapping you and then I throw you into my basement, but I did it with a great deal of care.
And to de-escalate. And that's a piece I think that is in question, but I think the escalation was there from the officers before training even needed to come in as it relates to de-escalate. The escalation was already at a high level.
So you're saying they did everything wrong? Nothing that you think this was outside of their training, everything?
Oh, absolutely.
So you said the nature of the stop.
Here we go. Now, George Stephanopoulos from ABC asked her this question about the nature of the stop, and she says, hey, we haven't been able to determine that there was even a legitimate reason for the stop. Now, Donna Lamone from the Counterfeit News Network is going to ask. William Poole says, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm hearing things about riots. Yeah, they're actually, haven't they called out the National Guard, William? I saw an article the other day where it said There's two things going on. There's that thing going on with at Cop City in Atlanta, and they're calling out, the National Guard there. Have they called out the National Guard in Memphis? I'm not sure.
Talk about the nature of the stop. Why?
They're probably putting things in place right now, and the reason why they're going, okay, given a time limit to release this body cam footage is because they probably know the reaction, the visceral reaction people are going to have when they visually see what happened to this guy at the hands of these 5 cops, and people are going to be just, I don't know, you know what they do? Let's solve this by grabbing a Molotov cocktail and starting throwing bricks in Granny's pie shop. Yeah, that's going to help. That's going to help. Going through the streets and taking out, a whole bunch of businesses. That's going to really solve a bunch of problems there.
Why? What was the nature? Why was he stopped?
So far, we got 740 votes on the question, is law enforcement an honorable profession? 10% say yes, 81 say no, and 9% are undecided.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you about the stop itself. What was said was that there was a witnessing of what was considered reckless driving. We've looked at cameras, we've looked at body-worn cameras, and even if something occurred prior to this stop, we've been unable to substantiate that at this time.
That's pretty bad, because you got cameras anywhere. You think if there was a reason a shred of a reason that she could latch onto so that she could back her officers in some way, she'd be using it. It must be pretty bad. Or they're blowing this out of proportion on behalf of Benjamin Crump, and there's a whole bunch of fingers in the pie, that legal settlement pie, because now there was a death. And we can't have that. Benjamin Crump's on the case. And yes, I agree with this is funny. I put a YouTube short out just an hour or two ago, and this is what Brandon Tatum says about the character of Benjamin Crump. Listen to this.
Police officer.
Well, actually, I'm going to play this in reverse probably. He says that police officers should be defended by lawyers. There should be a Benjamin Crump to defend lawyers, but then he tells you what he thinks about the character of Benjamin Crump. It's pretty funny because he unwittingly steps into his own mess here.
Police officers need a Benjamin Crump for police officers. That when police officers get into something like this, they can have a voice.
So listen to what he thinks about Benjamin Crump.
And of course, the criminal, and I don't call him a criminal. I can't stand him. I'm trying to find an adjective to describe him. But Benjamin Crump, who's an ambulance chaser, he's only involved with cases if they're going to make him money. If your son get killed today,
that's true. I do not disagree with anything. This guy seems as shady as the day is long, but what he's saying is police officers need a Benjamin Crump to defend them.
Justifiably, by anybody other than a police officer, Benjamin Crump will not show up to support you. Now, Benjamin Crump is one of the crookedest lawyers in my personal opinion, only taking cases where he's going to make a lucrative paycheck on. But your boy Benjamin Crump is the lowest of the low when it comes to people. And I sat on a panel with Benjamin Crump at an event, and just the snake oil that's pouring off of Benjamin Crump is mind blowing to me. When you only go after you ambulance chasing, going after cases where you think you're going to get a payday.
You ambulance chasing, crooked, money grubbing. All you care about is the money. You don't care about justice. Police officers need a Benjamin Crump. I just thought that was a riot, man. The inconsistency and contradiction that comes out of bootlickers is just, it's comedy gold on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, dude, there needs to be a brush fire freedom set in the minds of the people like Brandon Tatum, because he's got this huge reach. He uploads a video and within an hour it gets 100,000 views. People love this kind of stuff. And what people need to understand, they need to be sensitized to the moral code. They need to be sensitized and grounded in they need a moral compass. And you can't have a moral compass while you're applauding your own demise at the hands of all these oppressors saying, hey, we will back the blue. What was it? I was talking to James Freeman the other day, that song that those girls put out, We Will Back the Blue. We should change it to, we will lick the boot.
You haven't been able to substantiate a reckless driving at all?
No, we have not been able to substantiate the reckless driving.
And that was why.
And how many cases do you think that's true in? We haven't been able to substantiate why in the heck he said that your brake light was out when it's clear that it wasn't. We haven't been able to substantiate why he pulled you over. He said you were swerving and you weren't. We haven't been able to substantiate why he pulled you over and cited you with $550 fine because he said you were going 20 miles an hour of the speed limit when we have no proof of that. This policing for profit, just take my word for it. The judge is going to believe if there's no video evidence, if you don't have a dash cam with the GPS and it shows your speed at the exact time that officer gave you a ticket, you're on your own because the judge will believe the cop. This isn't isolated. This isn't one of those things that's shoved off in the corner. This is stuff that happens all the time. Nope. We looked at the body cam. We looked at the dash cam, rear and front facing. We looked at all the traffic light cameras. And there's no evidence that this guy was even swerving. Happens all the time.
He was supposedly stopped.
That was why he was supposedly stopped in the very beginning. And that was a concern. So, of course, in an investigation, we began to look at what was the probable cause for the stop, where were the cameras, was there some evidence on the body camera, on other cameras along those thoroughfares, and we've taken a pretty extensive look to determine, what that probable cause was, and we have not been able to substantiate that. It doesn't mean that something didn't happen, but there's no proof.
There's no proof that the cameras didn't pick up.
The cameras didn't pick up.
So before the incident, you're looking at other cameras, other surveillance cameras around the city?
Around the city, other thoroughfares, even business cameras, any video footage that we could...
He couldn't find any evidence for the pullover. It's like, hey, let's go mess with this guy. Let's go pull him over and see what happens. Matter of fact, let's all five walk up to him and intimidate the crud out of him and then say, why you shaking, sir? Why you so nervous, sir? It wouldn't be the fact that I'm surrounded by 5 gigantic dudes with guns. Oh, I can't imagine why I'm nervous, officer.
Potentially pick up.
And then the first reaction is, I want to run because I ain't getting any justice here. And maybe if I run, I've got some kind of shot, Maybe they're so big and I'm so small. This guy's supposedly like a little over 6 feet tall and he only weighs 150 pounds. Maybe I got an opportunity because these guys look like big boys. They do not look small at all. Look at these guys. They have full faces. So each of them he's probably the lightest one. This guy right here looks like the guy who used to play quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. What was that guy's name? Steve McNair? Anyway, he looks like the lightest one. This guy looks like he's in excess of 210, 215. This guy looks like a big 220, 230. These guys are big guys. So maybe this guy was thinking, I think I have a chance to outrun this guy. Because if I stay, I'm damned. If I leave, I got a better shot, but I'm still damned if they catch me. So I'm running. God, man.
To see what occurred prior to this stop. The information that we have right now, based on what we could observe, is the stop itself and the first officer exiting his vehicle. And you'll see that on the body-worn camera. And at that time, the officers were already, aggressive and amped up.
Oh my gosh, we almost got 500 guys, 26 more likes, and we got 500 likes. Thank you for the likes, guys. I appreciate that. We got like 3 more minutes on this video, less than 3 minutes.
So you haven't found anything to substantiate the probable cause for reckless driving?
Not at this time.
And this was just within a couple 100 feet of his home?
That's right.
Of his home?
That's right. A few blocks away.
Okay. He was apprehended by the Scorpion unit, which was launched under your leadership.
What the heck? Good Citizen just dropped $50 in the Cash App. Jeez, man. Thank you, Good Citizen. You guys can attach if you guys want. I know it's a short message on Cash App, but if you want me to read a message out, let me know. Brooklyn Audit says, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that, Brooklyn Audit.
In 2021.
Yes.
Were they part of a street crimes unit? Were they looking for some other crime other than reckless driving from Tyre Nichols?
Absolutely. Well, the Scorpion unit, the acronym.
Come on, Donna. Donald Lamone asked if this Nichols guy has a criminal record.
Street crimes operations to restore peace in our neighborhoods.
Street crimes operations to restore peace in our neighborhoods is what the Scorpion unit means.
The whole concept was based on the fact that we had an outcry because of 3 years of violence in the city. Numbers of violent crimes, robberies, homicides, aggravated assaults. And this is one of 3 teams.
The intended focus is violent crime reduction. And what happens to the guy? He's no longer around to tell the tale. At least 2 of the officers were charged were members of this special Scorpions unit. Intended focus is violent crime reduction. The acronym is Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods, which was launched on November 2021. Hey, how's that going for you? Well, we got a death toll of, what do you mean death toll? You're supposed to reduce crime.
Whose primary responsibility is to reduce gun violence, to
euphemism of gun violence. There's no such thing as inanimate object violence. It's people commit violence. People use different tools to commit violence. Nobody's calling it hammer violence or crowbar violence, but they use gun violence. Why? Because they have to weave a narrative so they can deprive you of your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms.
Be visible in communities and to also impact the rise in the crime. Basically, out of an outcry from the community, we had record numbers in 2021, 346 homicides. So this unit was put together, and they had great success, believe it or not, last year.
How's the drug war working out for you, Captain or Chief, Police Chief? How's the drug war working out? Have you reduced drugs on the street? No, you haven't. If you can't reduce drugs in the street, they can't even reduce drugs in prison. They can't reduce crime in prison. What makes you think they're going to help you in your city? They're not. They can't. They abuse in prison, violence in prison, drugs in prison, alcohol. They ferment banana peels. They ferment crazy stuff. You can't have tattoos. They create tattoo guns in prisons. They can't keep tattoo guns out, drugs out, alcohol out, violence down in prisons. In an absolutely controlled atmosphere, what makes you think that law enforcement is going to be able to help you out on the street? A little bit of, logical, sound reasoning, taking the sledgehammer of truth to the cement block of cognitive dissonance, breaking that up so you can take your critical thinking off the shelf, dust it off a little bit, give it a little exercise, take it out, give it some water, and then just ask a couple questions. How is law enforcement going to help me out here when they can't even keep stuff down in prison? Gangs form in prison? You're not going to keep gangs off the street if you can't keep gangs down in prison. Are you serious? Messed up. This is so convoluted. So you got a liar talking to a liar.
Was the first year in a long time that we had reductions.
But is this an indication of a failure
Electric toaster violence
in that unit?
This is an indication that there is a gap somewhere in that unit. My observation is that, we have...
Just a gap. That's all it is. Just a gap. There's a gap. It's just a training issue, Donald Lamone from the Counterfeit News Network. We just have to institute more training. We just have to train these psychopaths to be better at their job so that they can hide all this criminality, and then I can put my stamp of approval on it.
Several contributing factors. We train and we retrain these officers, just like specialized units around the country.
Train them to do what? Because you don't train them in the Constitution. I bet if you asked any one of these officers right here, hey, what are the 5... I tell you what. I'll make it easy for you. Give me 2 elements of the First Amendment. I bet every single one of them would fail it. Maybe they'd get 1. Stretching it, they'd get 2. But they ain't no way they're getting 3. So what they don't train them on is the Constitution. Hey, we want to sensitize you to the fact that the people that you're going to go out there and protect and serve, this is serious business. By the way, you're not going to get a paycheck from the extortion money coming from the tax cattle. You're going to have to earn it. No, they're not earning money. They're not producing anything of value. All they're doing, can you imagine getting up in the morning and your job is to harm people and economically terrorize them and take away their rights and just follow orders and turn your mind off? It's the conformist versus moralist argument. The conformist says, hey, I'm going to do what I'm told, regardless of what is right. And then I'll get a paycheck at the end of the day. The moralist goes, hold on a second. I'm going to do what's right, regardless of what I'm told. And if you're a moralist, you can't be a police officer. And let's check in with our poll. Our poll's got 864 votes. Hopefully we can get up to 1,000 votes by the end of this. 864 votes, 11% of the people answered, is law enforcement an honorable profession? Yes. 80% said no, it's not an honorable profession. Isn't that clear? And 9% said that they're not sure. Born Annoying gifted another Here's the Deal membership. Who's going to grab that? Oh, there we go. Mikey B just became a member, donated by Born Annoying. Thank you, Born. I appreciate that. And welcome as a member, Mikey B.
These officers, in working in specialized units, you always need to make sure that the supervision is there and present.
Do you fear that they have done something like this in the past? Do you have any evidence of that?
Well, we don't have evidence at this particular time in looking at their disciplinary packages. However, we're taking a deeper dive into previous arrests, previous video camera footage. We're also
I'll answer the question. Well, let me say, Don, what do you think? They had body cams, they had dash cams, they were on the radio, and they still did it. What do you think? What do you think the chances are that they haven't been involved in something like this before? A couple more seconds here.
also reached out to the IACP, who will work with the Department of Justice. We've asked the IACP and the Department of Justice to come in and take a look at our specialized units. We don't want any gaps in any of our units.
I've heard about from every single person that I've spoken to that said the buck stops with you. Yeah. Do you feel that you have any responsibility in this failure in this unit?
Well, I can't remove myself from responsibility. And of course, we can't
She reminds me between a cross between Barack Obama and Camel Toe Harris.
Always be with our officers, but it's incumbent upon us to act and have checks and balances in place. But we have to rely on those individuals that are also in supervisory positions and commanders' positions. But the accountability is throughout the police department, all the way up to the chief.
I am joined live now.
So here we go. So tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, they're supposed to release the body cam footage of what exactly happened with Nichols and these 5 police officers. At the present time, they're going to be each of them charged with second-degree murder and aggravated kidnapping, among some of the other charges, and then not rendering aid or whatever. I want to know what you guys have to say. We have 895 votes. 11 is law enforcement an honorable profession? 11% said yes, it's an honorable profession. We need to talk. I want you to substantiate your agreement with that. And 81% say no. I'm in the no category as well. And 9% said I'm unsure. I'll keep this poll open a little bit. Last night when I ended the live stream, I noticed that the live stream kept going and going, and usually it ends in 5 minutes. I found out what happened. I ended the live stream on my OBS program, but I did not end it on YouTube. So what I'll do after this video is over, I'll leave the chat open for 10 minutes if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves. So I'll end it 10 minutes after I end the video. So as soon as I get done talking, there will be 10 minutes, and then I'll end it after that time. I wanted to let you guys know real quick before you leave, if you want to support the channel, the support links are below, and I've drastically reduced the price of all the stuff in the store, all the designs and all the merch in the store. In addition to that, there's 20% off between now and the 30th. So let me just show you some of these designs. And people were asking me, hey, can I resize this or whatever? So I'm going to go for, here, let's pick this size matters right here. So you can pick any item that you want. Let's just pick this men's shirt right here. And you can pick any color you want. You know, I don't know why you'd pick pink as a man, but I guess real men wear pink, right? So you go over here to this little icon, this little editing icon, and if you want to change the size on Size Matters or any design, you can just move it around, or you can make it huge. You just have to operate within this huge box right here. So you can make this thing absolutely enormous, or you can come over here on your text tool and you can actually, you can see over here, you can put, let's see, what should we put? FTP. Just FTP. You can change the font. Let's make it bold like that. You can make this thing huge. I think you can warp the text or whatever. Let's see. You can italicize it. You can underline it. You can bend it. Yeah. You can bend the text. Here, let me try to bend it a little bit. Yeah, you can bend it around a little bit. Let me bend it a little bit more. Yeah. You can say FTP. I think you can layer this one over that one. I'm not sure how the layers work. Doesn't look like the layering works. Oh yeah, you can. Check this out. You can, I didn't even know that. You could bring to front. Look at that. That's cool. Oh, I'm learning something. Okay, so you can do FTP. You can do anything you want to. You can customize this. You can put it on the side. You can put it on the back, the front. You can put it on the back. You can add lettering. You can take it away. You can go to other designs. You can go, oh, hey, let me put. Oh, wait, let me go back. Here, let's just here's one of our new designs, a free press. So I'm going to pick this right here. I'm going to go to the editing tool. I'm going to click that pencil right there. I'm going to do this right here. And then let's see. Oh yeah. And then you can put other designs on the shirt if you want to. You can mix this. You could go a free press matters. You can have both of them on there. And it's like, I think it's does it go up in price? I don't know. Maybe it goes up like $1 or $2 or something like that. But you can customize a shirt. It'll be the only shirt. It'll be a shirt unique to you, not a cookie cutter shirt. So again, it's 20% off. Plus, I drastically reduced my margin on this stuff. So my margin shrunk and your savings increased. So if you want to take a look at that, I appreciate it. If you want to grab a shirt, I'll definitely, and I wish I had something to do with the schedule of the, when they get 20% off or whatever, because I would make my own schedule. When I was with Teespring, I could make 20% off every day. I could make it 50% off. I could have made it 75% off, but they set their own parameters. And let me just say right now, if you see a mask in the store, I didn't put it in there. You can put this design on anything, a thermos, a hoodie, a shirt, a mug, a cell phone case that you're going to be using to record the police, and you can even get a ritualistic shame muzzle. I got nothing to do with that. You can pick whatever design you want and put it on whatever Spreadshirt product you want. Doesn't mean I endorse ritualistic shame muzzles. So I think that's it. Be sure to subscribe to me over on, let me pull this up right here. Subscribe to me over on Rumble, because I just started live streaming on Rumble. This is more for my other channel. Where's Rumble? There it is. This is my Rumble channel. I'll put that description here. I'll put the link in the description right there. There's Rumble right there. And here's the Spreadshirt deal if you want to grab a shirt. Just a quick word about the shirt store again. I had a lot of them in here. If I showed you the front end of the back end of my thing, you'll see all the ones that have been rejected. But we've got Make America Normal again. Got the Grease Monkey Videos logo. Hunter's Laptop Matters. Got a bunch of gun ones here. This one right here. Nobody needs an AR-15. Nobody needs a whitey little biatch either. Yet here you are. We've got Win the National Lottery. Clowns to the right of me, jokers to the left. You got Sanford Shiite hole. You can see the real word there. Clowns to the left, jokers to the right. Anti-lab rat. One of you guys made, I can't remember who made this. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Red coat lives matter, said no one in 1776. If a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he's obligated to do so. I got over 110 something designs, 120 almost. So yeah, be sure to go over there and grab a shirt for yourself, hoodie, mug, whatever you want to, and hit that like button before you leave. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to leave the stream open for 10 minutes if you guys want to chat among yourselves. Real quick shout out to all the super chats. Wolverine Transparency, Wolverine Transparency, Wolverine Transparency. That's times 3. Born Annoying, Wolverine Transparency again with the super chat. Chris, Fight the Good Fight, Andreas Nunya, Chris Cast, or Crisis Cast, William Poole again, Born Annoying, and Constantine Valador. And also from the Cash App, Good Citizen, Brooklyn Audit, and Brandon Mitchell. And let me just real quick check the buy me a coffee. Someone bought 5 coffees. That's the name. Someone. Brian Bush bought 3 coffees. Someone again bought another 3 coffees. Ian Cope Dog bought 3 coffees. Randall Slack bought 3 coffees. And Wendy Strand bought a coffee. Thank you guys. I appreciate the support. You guys share this with everybody you know, guys. One of the best things you can do is share this video, like it, and comment underneath the video. That really causes engagement to go up and helps with the algorithms. I'll leave the chat open for 10 minutes. I will see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video. Until next time, the price of freedom is now and will always be eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people have and will secure their own oppression. I'll see you in the next video.